Imagine waking up one morning, unable to distinguish your memories from someone else's. You find yourself in a sterile room, unaware of how you arrived. Doctors and agents speak in calm tones, wires attached to your head drugs drip into your veins. You remember a name, but not your own. This wasn't a movie set. This was reality. This was MKUltra, the CIA's secret mind control program. Welcome to the darkest experiment in modern history. In the 1950s, the Cold War gripped the world in fear. The United States worried that enemies might control human minds with drugs or psychological warfare. So, the CIA launched a top-secret program named MKUltra. Its goal? To explore how LSD, sensory deprivation, and other methods could alter human consciousness without consent. Few knew it existed, and fewer still knew its full scope. Project MKUltra began as a small operation in 1953 under Director Allen Dulles. It expanded rapidly. By the early 1960s, it included over 150. The CIA funded hospitals in Montreal, universities in New York, and psychiatric wards in Baltimore and San Francisco. Researchers tested everything from hallucinogenic drugs to repeated electroshock to see how much a mind could break or bend. LSD became the centerpiece. Agents dropped it into drinks at parties. In Montreal, patients were told they were receiving psychiatric care. Instead, they were given psychedelics without permission. Students in psychology studies were dosed without awareness. Prisoners, volunteers, and sometimes even CIA staff members took part, sometimes willingly, often not. There was no oversight. There was no apology. There was only data. Some experiments focused not on drugs, but on sensory deprivation rooms, without light or sound, for days on end. The longer someone was cut off from external stimuli, the more vulnerable their mind became. Researchers recorded how Azali thoughts could be triggered, erased, or replaced. One of the program's most infamous sites was the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal. Under the supervision of Dr. UN Cameron, subjects believed they were receiving treatment for anxiety or depression. But instead, they underwent deep and high-dose drugs designed to erase memory and identity. Patients were left confused, isolated, and sometimes permanently impaired. Frank Olson, a U.S. Army scientist, was dosed with LSD without his knowledge. A few days later, he fell from a window in New York and died. The government called it suicide. His family suspected otherwise. Over decades, old agencies reopened. Some files turned up and questions arose. Was this a tragic accident or part of something much larger? How could a program involving multiple institutions, hundreds of test subjects, and millions in funding remain secret? Because secrecy was absolute. In 1973, when fears of exposure grew, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MKUltra records destroyed. Tens of thousands of documents vanished overnight. Only a handful of financial memos remained. It was these that helped expose the program decades later. In 1975, the Church Committee launched a Senate investigation. They uncovered evidence of MKUltra and related programs. Hearing after hearing, CIA officials admitted their mistakes. But with most records destroyed, investigators could only piece together fragments. No high-ranking official was prosecuted. Victims received no formal apology. Silence won. MKUltra raised questions that haunt us today. Can a government ever justify experiments done without consent? What happens when fear overtakes ethics? Modern human subjects, rules like consent forms, and institutional review boards exist because of this program. And yet, do we truly understand the limits of power? Some survivors eventually came forward. Canadian woman Linda McDonald described waking up in a hospital with no memory of her past. She later discovered her treatment had been part of MKUltra. Another volunteer, part of a hallucinogenic study in the U.S., reported permanent anxiety and memory loss. These were not people on battlefields. They were ordinary citizens who were experimented on without their permission. MKUltra inspired countless movies, books, and TV shows. The term Manchurian Candidate became synonymous with programmed individuals. Shows like Stranger Things referenced government drugs and psychic manipulation. While fiction thrilled audiences, the reality was far darker and real. Even today, we debate where surveillance and psychological operations cross the line. Social media algorithms shape behavior. Governments conduct remote psychological profiling. Where do we draw boundaries in the name of national security? Could something like MKUltra happen again? Were lessons fully learned or merely forgotten? MKUltra may have officially ended decades ago, but its legacy lives on in questions about secrecy, consent, and the fragility of memory. If this story disturbed you, if it made you question what else might lie undisclosed, please like this video, subscribe for deeper investigations into hidden chapters of history. Share your thoughts below. What part of MKUltra surprised you most? What should we learn from it? Because truth discovered even decades later is still truth worth telling.